Hey folks, welcome to Lessons Unplanned, teachers talking about the realities of education in the world around us. I'm the host, Craig Stage, and with me are my co-hosts, actually, Jake Lezak and Tressa Heffron. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Welcome. We're going to shoot several of these over the coming weeks and months and talking all things education and trying to bring some truth to the rumor and some light to the darkness. Sound fair?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that works.
We're going to pick a topic. This week is the work behind the work, and we're going to talk a little bit about what goes on behind the school day and how we feel about it. All right. So everybody out there, just keep watching. This is our first episode. It's going to get better. I'm confident in that. So I'm leaning into the microphone. I might get a little bit more comfortable with a microphone in my face too. Let's talk about what's something you did this week that no one in the world of education would actually realize or really know about.
Well, something that I did that I didn't ever think I would do is I loaded about 20 little pumpkins from my daughter's homecoming party that she had, that the kids painted, into a wagon and brought them to my classroom because the students, who are also my daughter's friends, said, "Can we have these in our classroom? Will you bring them in the classroom? I want to see them." And I'm like, "You guys are 12. You really want pumpkins in that you painted in the..." Absolutely, I can do that for you. So, Sunday afternoon.
Still a big desire for pumpkins.
And you know what? They're just kids. They just want to show off their work. So that's cute. But I never thought that I would be in 7th grade taking pumpkins that they painted back to the classroom. So It worked. It was fun.
Yeah. Well, and it's tough. We are a rural school in rural Pennsylvania, and being a mom, being a dad, comes into the school, goes home.
Yep.
Being a teacher, comes into the school, goes home.
Sure does.
Yep.
At Walmart,
All the time.
Tops,
Everywhere you go.
Wegmans,
Everywhere you go.
everywhere you go. And
Everywhere.
sometimes it means bring the pumpkins
Yeah.
over for everybody.
Yeah.
Hey, they were excited about it.
You're out in public and you hear, I had you in school and you take that slow look. Like, uh-oh. This can go one or two ways. It could be really good right now or maybe not.
What's worse is when the kids'
It always
parents
depends
say
on-
that. They
Yeah.
say,
Now, yeah.
hey, I
That
had
is the
you in
point.
school. Great.
Yeah, we are at that point
I'm
too.
that old.
Yeah.
Jake, outside of what would you do this week that no one would really understand outside the world of education?
I mean, I teach namely phys ed, and within that wellness, my wellness class is kind of my baby, and that class and my fitness classes, I think would surprise people that I spend so much time trying to figure out how to make it relatable to the kids, and I spend a lot of time with that. And this week was figuring out an effective way to teach students how to grocery shop.
As a
It's
phys ed
important.
teacher?
As a phys ed teacher, because going in and buying things that are good for you within a budget is not something that you'd think, right then. And I never thought about it until, it was part of what I was teaching. And I'm like, I need to make this more relatable to the kids. I need to make it real life. And I thought, you know what? Nobody showed me how to do that. I needed food one day in college, and I walked into a store and was like, all right, let's go buy some food.
Yeah.
I had money in my hand and I had to go buy food. And and now as a teacher, it's like, it would have been cool if somebody had kind of taken me through that ahead of time, so I had at least a clue before I walked in.
Yeah, it's funny. The other day, someone was talking to me about, all you got to do is teach them how to write, and do a little math, and make sure they know their history facts. And what more do you got to do? No, we have to. There are some things we never thought we'd be teaching and doing, and we're prepping for that.
Yep.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, you're like, man, there's a need.
Yeah.
I got to teach these kids how to grocery shop because I'm trying to make sure they have a healthy lifestyle, which is part of your goal as a phys ed teacher.
Right.
Yeah, and that's into my juniors and seniors. That's what the PA State Standards wants us to do that and get them ready for, what's it like when you have to take care of your body physically on your own. But then there's also the nutrition side. Mm-hmm. So I try to merge those two worlds in, and could go on all day. But that's the big thing. And I look at the public's comments, and I think they're like, what about the taxes, filling out a checkbook and those things? And I'm like, okay, well that's not part of what I do. But how can I better prepare the students within what I do?
Right.
You know.
Yeah. You just reminded me. We're gonna have to dedicate an entire episode to Facebook posts, Facebook memes
Love it.
about education. About
We
Yeah.
have like lots of posters of them all over, so we can just laugh.
Yeah.
So, I think that's it. I think this week, one of the things that I did that, no one outside the education world would understand, it's crazy. I spent more time this week talking about social services
Oh, so
than
right.
people would ever think. I have met with numerous groups about food insecurity, mental health, domestic violence, and I'm glad. I'm glad to help. I'm glad to be part of that. But I think I sit back and go, school. And where did I talk about school this week?
Right.
And to be honest with you, I mean, my week has been consumed with anything but education. But I have other people for that. I have the curriculum director, and my job is to make sure kids get what they need and teachers get what they need. And right now, much to maybe people's dismay or disbelief, our kids have an incredible need for some basic necessities.
Oh yeah.
So working with our local agencies on raising donations for food because the food bank is empty. We're trying to get another grant so that we can have more mental health supports. Participating in a panel talking about relevant topics to why are homes unstable places for kids.
Yeah.
And I think that's a tough one.
But it's also, as much as you say it's not, education is way more than what your average household sees.
Right.
And it's become teachers, administrators wear so many hats, and you say, well, it's not part of education. But if we all know at this table that if something's unstable at home, it impacts the learning environment for that individual child sitting in that room, regardless of what age group they're at.
Right.
And when they aren't focused because their stomach's growling, when they aren't focused because there's, like you said, domestic violence going on at home, and if we aren't trying to help them with those things and give them tools and resources and be there for them, then
they're not paying attention to us at all.
They're not. And we need to be an environment they can walk in and they feel safe, they feel secure, they feel wanted, they feel loved. And that's something that we don't talk about. We don't put it in the public's eye. But it is everything. It's everything. I mean, in my coaching tenure, like, it was way beyond the sidelines, way beyond.
Right.
And as a teacher, it's the same.
Right.
Yeah.
And we talk about the work behind the work.
Yeah.
The work is getting kids ready to learn.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of work behind it.
Yeah.
Along with that topic, one of the conversations that the administrative team have every year as they look to plan, it's been a big topic of ours, is not trying to add to the teacher's plate.
Yeah.
And because we understand, I truly think our team, administrative team, understands that giving you one more thing to do is ginormous for you to try to balance. But I do want to know, because we haven't perfected it, and I guarantee you have counterparts that would say that they're overwhelmed because it's a reality. What do you guys do to juggle planning, prepping, grading, and then also dealing with the behaviors you're facing now on a weekly basis? What's your strategies?
I mean, I'll tackle
A lot of good questions right there.
I'll tackle behaviors. And I don't see a lot. I feel like I have a very good reputation with the students at the high school, and more or less more of a respectful fear of me. But with behaviors, it's not the same for every child. Like, you have to, if you're an effective teacher and you have effective classroom management, then it's going to be a different set of skills in your behavior, or your classroom management with each child, and how that looks and how that, is handled, because they're not the same and they're not dealing with the same things, all the time, and not one cookie cutter doesn't work with each kid.
Right.
And in terms of planning, I mean, I do teach I have the best job in the world.
I don't.
This isn't the
So,
show to brag, but
I'm just saying.
You
I'm going to say that you're wrong because I think mine's the best one.
Whatever, we'll fight later.
Parking lot, 4:30.
off school, bro.
For me, I think behavior. I always ask myself, what's going on with this kid? Why is this behavior coming out? Or, what happened maybe before they came in my class, and what's going to happen after. And I try to connect with the kids, and that's been huge. I mean, 25 years, and I've really been able to connect to a lot of kids because of that. And saying to a kid, hey, can we chat after class?
Yeah.
Not because they're in trouble, but because I want to know what I can do to help you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And building those relationships, that's what's really important. And those kids will walk on water if I told them that they had to, and they would do it. And they're helpful, and they're kind, and they want to be loved, and they want to be accepted, and they want to do the right thing. They just want attention.
Yeah.
So I've found that by giving that to them in those ways and being positive and saying, hey, yesterday you didn't really pay that close of attention. Here's what we're going to do tomorrow. You know, today was like a kind of a wash, but tomorrow, here's what we're going to do. Can you prepare yourself so that you're ready for that?
Yeah.
And they rise to the occasion if you give it to them.
Yeah. I found that attacking them individually, they probably get enough of that. But like that approach, I think we both have the same mindset, do it a little different, you know, and I'll ask a student, do I deserve to be treated that way? Like, have I ever talked to you that way? You know, and I get them to step back and just kind of think like, well, no. And I'm like, would you like it if I did? No. And I'm like, okay, well, let's take it back.
I do think I do think that behaviors are a barrier to learning.
Yeah.
Some, you know, because it takes a couple disruptive students can disrupt an entire classroom's lesson.
One. Just takes one.
Yeah. But the work behind the work is how do you manage that, right? How do you prepare for that? You know that kid. You know what to plan for and expect. It doesn't work every time.
Nope.
That's why we have administrators,
Yeah.
and that's why we have teachers, you know, working on classroom management all the time. But seriously, how big is planning, grading, impacting your preparation for the week? Is it bogging you down? And I'm asking the phys ed teacher last on this one.
I mean, I'm going to tell you I have a unique situation because I taught what I'm teaching now. I taught for 10, 12 years before I then was put in elementary. And I was in elementary school for 10 years, and now I'm back doing what I did before in middle school. So I have that elementary perspective at the same time as middle level. And I can tell you now that I'm doing what I know I was born to do and teaching world history to middle school kids, it's not as hard because, first of all, I love the content. And second of all, I've done it before, right? But as an elementary teacher, I can tell you 100%, not only has the curriculum changed, so you had a new curriculum, and even if the curriculum's the same year to year, it's different because you have different kids. And then their schema and what they bring to the table when they get there is different. Some years you have kids in elementary school that can read, and you're teaching way above where you were the year before because the year before's kids had so many kids that had a learning deficit and they couldn't read or they struggled with a specific skill. That changes your plan. So as an elementary teacher, I'm telling you, those elementary teachers, God bless them because they work for every paycheck that they get, and they work there. I mean, every second of the day, they are not only planning, then because the thing is you have an 8-year-old in front of you, you have 28-year-olds in front of you. Oh, it took me literally a minute and a half to cut this out. Now what? And you planned for, that to be 20 minutes long. Oh no, then the eyeballs are looking at you, and that's when the behaviors start.
Yep.
I'm telling you, those elementary teachers, they are planned to the minute because they can't let those kids get anything in.
I spent about 90 minutes today with 10 fifth graders.
You tired?
I'm lucky I'm still here.
You needed
I needed a bunch of caffeine to get me through right now. No, it's and they were great kids. I'm not saying they're not, but if you don't have structure and you're not thinking about keeping them occupied mentally, not just physically occupied, then things can kind of go off the rails.
100%.
And that's the truth. And I do feel like attention spans are a lot shorter nowadays.
They are. It's weird because we were talking about this the other day. So if you had, I have a 40-minute, 50-minute class period. If I chunk it into 10-minute chunks, I can get their attention. And then, okay, we're going to take a minute, see what you think of this, talk to your partner. Now 10 more minutes, right? They need that. And if you think about it, in the social world, right?
Yeah.
Everybody scrolls now. Used to be, when we were kids, we would have commercial breaks. So, you're watching your favorite cartoon in 10-minute, 8-minute chunks. And then you have a 3-minute break to run to the bathroom, go get your snack, and then get back to the TV, right? But now, it's not that way. It's like 10 seconds. If the kids are scrolling on, Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or whatever, and they see something and it doesn't catch their attention in the first 10 seconds, done. They scroll past it. That's happening in the classroom.
It is. It's tough. How about you? What do you see in the phys ed world?
Well, I mean, planning for me is different, as most people would expect. We got to make sure the ball's efficiently pumped before we just roll it out, or it won't roll far. That's really hard. No,
We brought you on just for the comp.
Yeah. So, my activities class is awesome. They're the easiest part of my day, and it's kind of like my bread and butter is my fitness class because and my strength and conditioning class, and then I gel in the wellness class that I have because that is, like I said before, teaching them the real world stuff. Mm-hmm. This is what you're going to face when you get out, keeping yourself healthy. It's the only thing you worry about every single day. When you wake up, how do I feel? It dictates your day. You get a headache. You don't care what's going on.
Right.
In any workplace. You don't care after that. Your head hurts. And how can we remedy that? What do I need to do to prevent and all those things? So I teach a lot. I focus a lot on those things, on the kids' individual health. And then after I lay that juggling for me is I want to make sure kids feel and understand that fitness is for everybody. I have so many kids that come in and they're like, well, I'm not an athlete. So, Mr. Lezak's not. He's not going to care. And I'm like, no, let's find what you like. So then I spend more time on the students that come to me for specific things. Hey, Mr. Lezak, can you make me a better whatever? Can you help me with this? And so I will seek out programs for them and find different exercises that work with them and working on their functional movement patterns. We have so many kids that can't squat. They can't bend over without looking like a horseshoe. I mean, there's a lot of different things. I mean, their core strength, it's just so many things that I focus on giving them different, what I call tools in their toolbox that they can use. And fitness gets boring. I get bored with it. So it's always I'm always seeking out new things for them to keep them engaged.
It's important.
There's a lot to prepping and planning and getting through the day, and we all have our reasons, and some are easier, and some we intentionally plan because we want to service the kids, but juggling all those things are a tough reality, especially when you're trying to put in a good solid 7.5 hour day of being in front of them. Not enough time in the day.
Nope.
But I got one more question, and we're going to come back. I came up with some great questions that we're going to probably have whole episodes on later already. But I think the thing we're going to end with today is, teachers, you agree with us or not, and share with us your stories as well, because, we're obviously going to put this out there for feedback. And, we want you to know that teaching is real, and it's real hard sometimes.
It is.
But what's the most misunderstood part of your job? If you're talking about I'm talking about Joe, community member who works not in education, doesn't work with kids. What's the most misunderstood part of your job that you sometimes have to explain to them?
How physically and mentally draining it is. Educators that truly go out and care for the kids, I think that people feel like you can walk in and just put the content in front of a kid, slide a worksheet across the table, and the kids will fill it out, and then you move on. And if they want to really understand it, I saw this on somebody's feed the other day. You really want to challenge, sign up to be a substitute teacher, and not throwing a plug out there because we need more, but I would never do that.
We do lots more.
But I think that's it. Like at the end of the day, regardless of your content area, teachers just that really put everything into it. At the end of the day, you're physically and mentally exhausted, and they feel like, I think a lot of people out there just feel that, you were done at 3:30 or 3:45. You can go do whatever you want now. And it's like, if I can wrap my head around it and get ready, it's just, yes, you condition yourself, but that to me is probably the biggest thing where people just look at you and say, it wasn't, you weren't.
You're not laying block.
Right, I wasn't.
You're not building a house.
Right.
You're not welding.
Right. And they're demanding. I understand that.
Yeah.
But what we do with the kids every day to keep them where they need to be and get them to where they need to be is exhausting.
It's mental endurance sometimes, for sure.
Yeah.
Tress?
Well, I think that for me, it's how much really goes on outside of the actual lesson. And I mean, I'm sure, as we all do, we take work home with us. And my work isn't necessarily papers to grade and lessons to plan. It's the issues that these kids bring to me. And they say, hey, I just moved here. I don't have any friends. I'm trying to wrap my head around how am I going to help this little kid make friends? You know, they're 10 years old, 11 years old. They've come into a new building. They're nervous. They're scared. They have nobody, right?
Mhm.
I think about that at night.
Mm-hmm.
And I think about, you know, those parents that contact me that say, I just don't know what to do. I'm seeing the same behavior as you are. How can we be a team? You can't turn that off when you leave.
I was going to say that. I was
You
going to
just
say one of
can't.
the most misunderstood things is sometimes you have to be a counselor for the parents.
You are, for sure.
They're looking for advice too sometimes, and they always reach out to the teacher.
And honestly, even more
And the
so than
coach.
just parents, is
Yeah.
we have
Oh, yeah.
more and more
Oh, yeah.
grandparents. We have more and more
Yeah.
foster parents. We have more and more families who are taking in kids that are not even they might not even be their blood relative, but they're taking them in and they're trying to do their best with them. And so we now are true community educators, that we're not just trying to teach the kids, we're trying to teach the parents, we're trying to teach the caretakers. You know, we're out there trying to do our very best, and it doesn't shut off when the door closes. It doesn't close, you know, when the bell rings and it's up 3 o'clock, everybody leaves.
Yep.
I'm still 100 miles an hour, you know, 11:30 I'm trying to fall asleep and I'm thinking, oh, what am I going to do to help this kid, or help this family, or help this, you know, whatever. So
It's-
that's misunderstood. I think a lot of people think, oh yeah, you get to leave at the bell and then, you know, you don't think about it. Oh no, that's not true at all.
I think the most misunderstood thing that that when I was teaching, for those out there, I'm not a teacher anymore. I still feel
Oh, you
it.
teach every day.
That, you know, I think the most, you it's so easy. It's just a joy. And, you know, try going a day only using the restroom
Once.
once.
At lunch.
I mean,
With a kid tracking
not,
you down
I
in the
don't make
hall.
light of
Yeah.
it, but
Yeah.
you are on a
True.
strict schedule sometimes, and
Yes, you are.
your personal freedoms are limited by your schedule. So
100%.
it can be a little bit. I always say that's the fun one. Like you try going.
Yeah.
Once a day during one period, one 5-minute window of
That's
time.
all you get.
Yeah.
Let me
Oh,
tell you, as
yeah,
a mom
right,
to
yeah.
as many
You
kids as
might
I
get
have,
chased
that
down the
is
hallway.
not an easy thing to do.
I do not want to talk to you right now.
That's
Yeah.
why educators
No,
are
I won't
high
sign your
grade, to
pass.
be honest. We don't drink enough during the day because we can't go to the bathroom.
I will
Yeah.
not buy a candy bar off you. I gotta go.
Right.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Listen, folks, this is what it's going to be like. You're listening to a superintendent, 2 teachers, middle school, high school, social studies, phys ed, cross perspectives. We're probably going to have a little bit more dialogue. This is our first chance at it. We'll get better at it. The room will look better. We'll become a real podcast eventually. But thank you for joining us, and let's see what you got to say in the comments. Good, thumbs up, thumbs down. What can we do better? What do you want to hear us talk about next week? We're going to be talking about the joy and the grind of education. So we'll probably get a little bit more real while we get at it, and
Fun.
be a little bit more
Absolutely.
honest. So we just want to throw some softballs out today.
Love it. Thanks
forward
for
to
doing
it.
All right, folks, we'll catch you later.
Thank you.
Right.